It was the first day of middle school. The teacher was asking her students what they wanted to be when they grew up. One boy stood up and he said, "When I grow up, I want to be an engineer." "What about you?" This other boy stood up and said, "Well, I want to be a doctor when I grow up because doctors make a ton of money." Smart ass. "What about you, young lady?" This girl stood up. She said, "Well, when I grow up, I just want to be myself." Kudos to that young lady. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish I had that kind of maturity when I was in middle school. In fact, I wish I had that kind of maturity right now. Every single day, probably not every single day, but every so often, every one of us wants to be somebody else or something else. Why is that? Oscar Wilde once said that the easiest thing to do in life is to be yourself, especially because all the other roles are taken. And yet, we're constantly striving to be somebody that we're not. I want to focus a little bit on why that is. Part of the reason is because of the constant bombardment that we have of advertisements that are constantly hitting us and telling us we are living an imperfect life. Now, this was based on a theory of advertising that was conceived of in the 1960s by two advertising gurus. Right? Think Mad Men types. The principle is called the principle of positioning. The idea is rather simple. It is to create a void, a need in the mind of your audience, and then position your product or service as filling that need or gap. So every single commercial that you see on TV is going to follow the exact same script. It is 11 p.m. Are you still hungry? How many of us have fallen for an ad like that? So you'll see a picture of a guy probably in his 20s in his dorm room, and he's going to be tired, probably watching TV, he's disheveled, and then they show you this nicest slice of pizza smothered with cheese. And once that slice of pizza disappears into his mouth, all the sandwiches are stored in the world. They've created a need, and they've solved the need. They've positioned their product to solve it. Men over 50. Are you feeling tired all the time? Does your wife or significant other complain that you lack drive in bed? And then they show you a picture of another guy, slightly older, unkempt maybe, shaking his head. The picture is that they're creating is of you. And then they say, "Have you tried this new testosterone supplement that's been recommended by doctors worldwide?" But that's how they sell the products. And products keep selling all the time. From pin to plane, this is the secret sauce of advertisers. They use the same exact idea. Well, it would not be so bad if they stopped with selling a product or a service. The problem is that the same minds that brought you this kind of advertising are the people who are trying to make you and you and you a person that you're not, a different person, as they would call it. Well, what's the problem with that? Two things. Advertisements, or even an idea like that, first start by making you feel inadequate, as if your life is imperfect, as if you absolutely need to have something. Well, think about this. Have you been to your local bookstore and looked at the stack of self-help books or at your library? How to be a kick-ass Java programmer in just 21 days. How to be a better husband in 20 minutes. How to become rich in 24 hours. Well, are you kidding me? The only way you can become rich in 24 hours is if you went to City Hall and you got your name changed officially to Rich. There is no other way. Even that takes more than 24 hours. The other problem with this kind of "oh, you're imperfect" is that they create this very idealized version of what success looks like. There is nobody who has a perfect life, yet everybody is trying to sell this idea that there is something perfect at the other end, and all that you need to do is to change yourself to somebody else to become perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't work that way. Even within Toastmasters, I've spoken to people who say, oh, well, I want to be a great speaker because I heard my CEO speak and I want to speak like him. No. You're here at Toastmasters to give great speeches, not to become another version of your CEO or some other great speaker that you observed speaking. Sure enough, that's a good person you might want to emulate, but do not imitate. You do not want to be another version of somebody. Let me ask you this question. How many of you here have heard of the soccer player Ryan Giggs? Show of hands. One person. Two. Thank you. Now, let me explain for the rest of you. Ryan Giggs played for Manchester United. Now, Manchester United, if you do not know, is the winningest club in English soccer. They're like the Yankees, even just better. Ryan Giggs played for Manchester United in the same position for 24 years. Now, any footballer who plays in the top flight in English football, he plays in his peak for about 10 years. This guy played for 24 years. He's won more titles than you can count with 2, 4, maybe 6 hands. Now, towards the end of his playing career, somebody went to Ryan Giggs' coach and he said, well, I'm going to write an article and I'm wondering if I should call Ryan Giggs the Maradona of Manchester United. His coach looked at him, the journalist, and he said, well, I think you would be doing a tremendous disservice if you did that. Not because I think that Maradona is not a great footballer, because I think what Ryan Giggs has proved over the last 25 years is that he has earned the right to be known as Ryan Giggs and not as another Maradona or another Pelé. So ladies and gentlemen, think about this. Why would you want to become an imperfect version of somebody else when you can become the best version of your own self? Thank you.